All right, welcome back. You are watching Marcus Farrell Live. I'm Marcus. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I couldn't hear anything. What we're going to get into with today's show is Black History Month, man. And if you know me and you know anything about me and you know how I vibe and you know what I'm on, then you have a good understanding that Black history is an important cultural history for me, and it's important. So today I bring on John Jackson, my ally, former chair of the DeKalb County Democrats, one of the counties that saved America by their turnout in the state of Georgia. And I live in Fulton County. We can talk about that real briefly because, you know, Donald Trump this week and the FBI raided my county's election boards. That's right. So they raided my county's election boards in hope to find what they're doing is they're trying, because Jack Smith is on their butts, right? Like the attorney, the former prosecutor is on them. And what Jack Smith is doing is he's surgically decimating their argument. They did commit a crime in 2020. So they're trying to hide the evidence for some strange reason. And it just seems to me, John, that this whole administration is nothing but hiding things. The Epstein files came out the day before yesterday, the newest release. And for people watching, and John, I'm gonna pass it to you, but for people watching, I want to let y'all know something. Conservatives think that Black folks are going to be upset because other Black people are in the Epstein files. No, we like justice. See, here's the difference. We see our people go to jail all the time for doing dumb stuff, right? The people who get mad are the ones who always get away with things. Like when your community always is able to do whatever they want to and get away with it, y'all get mad that they get caught. So when Trump gets in trouble, there's a certain segment of America that's like, well, he didn't do it. He couldn't have possibly did it. Well, if you look at the Epstein files, it's damaging. It's damaging. How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going?
Man, it's good, man. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate every single time that you join me, man. You've been a brother at arms, and it's nice to lay eyes on you. We gotta get a stick. I got a number 9 right here, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. I got a stick ready too.
Hey, listen. So, like before we get into the Black History segment, because this is going to be a fun show, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts, being a former Georgia county elected official. I kind of want a county party elected official. I kind of want to get your thoughts on what's happening with the FBI raiding Fulton County's election board.
I think that the Trump administration thrives on chaos. Chaos is their governing model. In the midst of chaos, they hope to create so much smoke you don't see things for what it is. But I think he's too late on that. There's too many of their own people who are calling foul. Too many of their own supporters, because not all of their supporters are the diehard MAGA worshiping type. There was a lot of independent support for Trump in 2024, particularly amongst different demographics of men, and they're losing that real fast. And election results recently are showing that. Election results all over the country. And so they don't have any other governing model except chaos. They seek to just flex power, wreak chaos, and it's their way of kind of consolidating power, but it doesn't look like it's working out exactly how they would plan it to.
Yeah, no, it's not working. And I mean, authoritarianism, um, fascism is not a good business model in the world. The history literally shows that. And they have made similar moves to 1930s Germany when it comes down to arresting Don Lemon, right? Like that's what Germany did. Germany arrested the media that reported the BS that they were doing. I mean, there's so many similarities between this administration and all I'm gonna say, like I said before, we get into this Black History segments of part of the show is Black people told you. There was a reason why we told you. And I'm gonna say more than just Trump. Black people told you about police too, years ago. And I knew that there was gonna be some day in the future where white folks would finally start feeling like what it was like to be Black around state sponsored violence, right? Now maybe we can all get on the same page. But with that being said, we're gonna get into our first video, man. And listen, today is the first day of Black History Month, so I figured I'd get some of the blackest people I could possibly find. Today, episode 1, I decided to wake up my boy John because I knew that he might be available. He's a busy man and he makes money, but he might be available for me. He normally is. So first, we're just gonna go into The Great Escape. Check it out.
This might be the slickest con ever pulled. It's a heist, it's a disguise, and it's one of the greatest how did they do that stories in American history. This is the story of William and Ellen Craft. Ellen was enslaved in Georgia, and she was the daughter of her enslaver. This meant her skin was light enough to pass for white. Her husband, William, was also enslaved, and they came up with a plan so audacious, so brilliant, it should be a movie. Ellen was going to disguise herself as a man, not just any man, a wealthy white male slaveholder. And William, he was going to pose as his loyal enslaved attendant. Think about the guts that takes. They got their hands on a top hat, a gentleman's suit. But they had a huge problem. Ellen couldn't read or write. If she had to sign a hotel register or a ticket, the con would be over. So they came up with another layer of genius. They put her right arm in a sling, claiming it was injured, and they wrapped her face in bandages, pretending she had a bad toothache, which also helped hide her smooth skin and kept her from having to talk to people. This disabled gentleman and his slave then walked right into the train station in broad daylight and bought first-class tickets. For 4 days, they traveled north by train and steamboat. They stayed in the finest hotels. They sat in first class. They were hiding in plain sight, using the very system of racism and class against itself. The entire time, they were one signature, one bad encounter, one person looking too closely at Mr. Johnson away from being caught, sold, and separated forever. They made it. They got all the way to Philadelphia, to freedom, and eventually to England. This wasn't just an escape. This was a performance. It was a 1,000-mile-long middle finger to the entire institution of slavery. That's the kind of truth we share here. This is Marcus Farrell Live. If you believe this kind of genius needs to be celebrated and shared, you know what to do. Like this video, share this.
So, like first off, that's a movie, bro. Our people are just so resilient, right? And I wanted to start the show with that because I wanted to say today on this Black History, on the first day of Black History Month, 2026, we probably have to be more resilient as Black people than any other time in American history outside of maybe the 60s and enslavement. But when it comes down to this administration, you know, we definitely have to be aware. And the reason why I wanted to start the show off with that is because we can fight. And sometimes fighting means just leaving and blending in and using their own weaponry against them.
Absolutely. And to me, if folks are going to hate you regardless, I would almost rather them think we're dumber than we really are. And, that's, you can use that to your advantage. They think we stupid. They think we ain't resisting. Oh, we totally are. We just ain't being loud about it. I think that um, it's really brilliant. It's another form of an underground railroad, uh, and that's the thing. There were more instances of Black folks throughout history finding their freedom and being very creative and innovative about how they found their freedom. Um, it, it besides the Underground Railroad. So I'm really glad you showed that. Right down here in Miami, in Key Biscayne, you had Bahamians helping uh, African American slaves escape to the Bahamas and vice versa. There's been this kind of cooperative relationship between Bahamians and African Americans for a very long time down here, and then of course you had Black folks who went back to Liberia, who went back to West Africa and formed Liberia. So I think that stories like this need to be told. And honestly, if you hate us, I don't want you to know that we're smart. Most of the people who hate us, their hate gets in the way of knowing how brilliant we are, and that's fine. That's how we'll take you down.
I got 5 points on that video. First, Ellen Craft wasn't just passing as white; she was passing as white power, right? Like most people just say, "Oh, she's passing as a white person." No, Ellen was passing as a white slaveholder, right? That was the highest social rank of the South, right? That's sociological warfare right there. This is the same reason today why whiteness, wealth plus wealth, still kind of messes up accountability. The system hasn't changed, just the uniform. William Craft, that brother had to sit there with his girl and act like she was the boss for 4 straight days. Which is cool, right? It's perfectly fine. So, before we get into the next video, William and Ellen Craft didn't escape slavery by begging. They escaped by outthinking it. And that's why their story still scares the system that's built today. Got another one for everybody. Some of y'all have seen these videos, some of y'all haven't, but we are going to show them today. Go through them. John, you're free to leave because I don't think this is going to be boring, but if you want to stick around for the whole thing, it's perfectly fine. But I got a few videos we're going to get into. The next one is the dark history.
This isn't a riot. This isn't a race conflict. This was a massacre. And it was the first time in history a major American city was bombed by its own citizens. This is the dark history of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And if you've never heard of it, that's by design. Before the attack, the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was one of the wealthiest Black communities in the entire country. They called it Black Wall Street. It was 35 square blocks of Black-owned banks, hotels, movie theaters, and homes. It was a beacon of Black success, self-sufficiency, and wealth. And that's exactly why they destroyed it. On May 31st, 1921, a young Black man was falsely accused of assaulting a white woman. The accusation lit a match, but the dynamite was already there. A white mob, thousands strong, descended on Greenwood, but this wasn't just a mob with torches, and they were armed by the local police. They were deputized, and then they looked to the sky. Private planes piloted by white residents were used to fly over Greenwood and drop turpentine bombs and dynamite onto homes, onto businesses, onto hospitals, onto churches. This was an aerial assault. This was domestic terrorism. For 24 hours, Black Wall Street was burned to the ground. When the smoke cleared, 35 blocks were gone. An estimated 300 Black people were murdered. Thousands were left homeless, rounded up at gunpoint, and forced into internment camps. The story was then systematically buried. The police records vanished. The newspaper archives were scrubbed. For decades, it was illegal to even talk about it in Tulsa. They didn't just kill people, they tried to kill the memory. They tried to erase the proof that this kind of hate, this kind of jealousy-fueled destruction was possible. We are here to make sure that erasure fails. We are here to unbury the truth, no matter how ugly it is. This is Marcus Farrell Live. If you believe this history needs to be known in every classroom in this country, then do your part. Like this, share this.
Yes, sir. So it's Black History Month, man. We going all the way. That's probably one of the biggest tragedies to happen in American history, not just Black history, but American history, right? And I want to celebrate and lift up the families and the people who passed away during the Tulsa race riots. It is Black History Month, so I'm gonna come with it today, right? Tulsa was the first time in U.S. history that U.S. used air power on its own civilians. I'm gonna repeat that. Tulsa was the first time that they used American air bombs on its own citizens. It's happened in the move since the MOVE movement, way before Pearl Harbor, way before MOVE in Philly, before anything else. Insurance companies refused to pay because racism was the fine print. And this is why the racial wealth gap isn't accidental. It's engineered, reinforced, and then labeled market outcomes. Internment camps were also about control, not protection. Isn't it ironic that mass incarceration didn't start with Nixon? Tulsa shows the blueprint: destroy the community, then criminalize the survivors. Greenwood tried to rebuild and the city stopped them. That's key, right? For all the pull yourselves up by your bootstraps folks. Not only did they bomb them, burn the city down, then they turned right around and didn't allow them to get permits to build, didn't allow them to build their own thing. They just did not want to see Black wealth and Black excellence in Tulsa in 1921. So erasure was the second crime, and it lasted longer than the first one, right? No arrest, no prosecutions, no indictments, no reparations. Tulsa didn't teach this in school until the late 1990s, and the silence wasn't accidental, it was strategic. If they can erase the crime, they'll never have to pay a debt. This is why this memory is so political. What's your thoughts, John?
I think that it is important that we continue to tell this story. I know before there was a huge push for revising history, like we see around these red states in the country. They want to take this out of our history books. I didn't learn it growing up in school. I learned it from the people in my life. Fortunately, my family, and I'm sure your family, taught me stuff like this. But public schools have never been teaching about this, and I think that's a problem. There's an erasure here, and we talk about 9/11, which was a horrific event, and as if stuff like this has never happened. And I'm like, no, it's happened, and it just shows you that erasure of our people's history, how big of a fabric we are in this country, is so normal. Most don't even realize it's done. Because if we hadn't grown up in the families that we did, we wouldn't know it.
Yeah, it's I was blessed enough to grow up in Tallahassee, and there's an institution in Tallahassee called Florida A&M University. And I'm not talking about the university itself. I'm talking about the ethos that HBCU brought into the city in general. What I mean by that is, like, Dr. James Eaton, he ran the Black archives that were on campus. Dr. Akbar, right? And his spouse at the time, Renee Akbar. She was my third grade teacher. I talk about her all the time because she was probably my most important teacher. And like having a culture like that around you, right? Where I learned about these things when I was in third grade. Like, these people would not, like, when you're around a Black, this is why education and getting Black teachers in Black schools, fully funded schools with good teachers that are teaching real education to their people. Like, history can be history. Black history is history. No matter how, see, they want to erase it. And that's the biggest power move. So when you have a whole culture built around being proud of your Blackness, that means that you can't, like the government is not going to be able to stop Black history from being taught the proper way. That's one thing that I'm proud of. Why? Because there's too many people like myself, right? That are like, I'm willing to make videos all day long on Black history and things that they're trying to make us forget. And the reason why is because you got to throw it under so America can look at the Black community and say, no, they're just lazy.
And I have a local example. So, down here in Miami, every time I come across the Black community, and when I run into people who don't know, Miami, Florida was built by Black people. And a lot of Black Miami was torn down or priced out because we're not the majority here anymore. And so it's easy to erase the fact that we built the city in 1896 and that we belong here just as much as anybody. And that's the theme across America. Black people have been pushed out of a lot of places. And the groups who are there now don't know history, don't care about history, and making it seem like we're the outsiders, when the reality is we were probably there longer than anybody else. And we probably built the city. And so I think that it's important because that can impact how empowered somebody is, because I have had to tell folks, don't ever let a Cuban American person make you feel like you don't belong here. You could tell them, hey, actually, my family's been here more generations than yours. So that is just the reality. And so I think that without knowing your history, you really can't stand up to the people who don't want to see you thrive, the people who think that they are better than you. You can really put them in their place, because I have put a lot of people in their place who think, because they are a majority community around here, that Black folks somehow don't belong. I'm like, listen, this place wouldn't be here without the Black community here. And this Black community here has been here longer than anybody.
I'll take it a step further when it comes down to Miami. We allowed Miami to exist. Where do you think the Seminole tribe was? And guess who didn't lose to the American government? That's right. The Seminole tribe was a bunch of Black people, Black indigenous people, right? And we allowed Flagler, with his rich self, to come down there. I mean, he promised jobs, and he did. Like, they had a good working environment. But without Flagler, without the Seminole tribe saying, hey, yes, there can be a Miami, because they didn't need to let anyone. They didn't need to let anyone down there. The Seminole tribe did not lose to the American government. Remember that.
Right.
They were down.
They're still down there to this day.
They're down there right now.
They're in the Everglades.
Yeah, right. So they allowed it. They could have attacked the train workers. They could have attacked, because that's how Miami got started, was the train, right? Like, the trains needed to go to the port down there in Miami, because that's the closest way that they could trade directly to the Caribbean. That's one of the reasons why Miami exists to this day. But that's good history, John. You are watching Marcus Farrell Live. I'm rocking with John Jackson. I am 1/3 of the mighty clickbait political thirst trap family. If you're watching this on Clickbait Political Thirst Trap and you love what we're doing today, please feel free to support the channel by leaving a super chat. We are here. We are existing. I have talked to Ben. I've talked to Mondale. Brothers are doing work, but we're going to come back, and we're going to come back strong. I'm just holding it down. And it's Black History Month today. So you think that Marcus, is not going to go HAM when it comes down to talking about Black history? We're going to get into another video real quick. This is braids.
Braids, the original GPS. Let's clear something up real quick. Those braids were never just cool designs. They were never just fashion. They were never just hair. Those braids were maps to freedom. Yeah, I said it. During enslavement here in America, our people didn't have paper maps, didn't have compasses, didn't have Google, Siri, or a luxury of speaking freely. What we did have was ingenuity, memory, and hair that could carry messages without making a sound. Braids became language. Braids became resistance. Braids became a quiet, dangerous push toward freedom. One braid went left, another went right. That wasn't random. That was direction. One braid was tight and thin, another thicker, raised higher. That wasn't style preference. That was terrain. A braid measuring just a centimeter, that could mean a hill. A longer braid flowing downward, that might mark a river. The spacing between braids, wide, deliberate, that could signal distance. And that braid left undone,
That loose plait that looked unfinished? Yeah, that might have been a waterfall or a stopping point or a warning. Nothing accidental, everything intentional. And the enslavers, because let's call it what it was, they never cracked the code. They saw hair. Our people saw roots. They saw beauty. We saw survival. They underestimated us, and that was their biggest mistake. We even embedded words into hair, concepts, signals, timing. Hair became a living map you could walk with, a language you could wear, a strategy hiding in plain sight. That's why braids still hit different today. That's why they feel ancestral. That's why when you see them, something in your chest stands up a little straighter, because our hair remembers. It remembers escape. It remembers intelligence. It remembers courage. So next time someone calls braids just a style, understand, you're looking at a blueprint, a survival manual, a freedom archive woven strand by strand. This is Marcus Farrell Live. And our history, it's deep.
Braids. I love that little tidbit of information about how enslaved people, because listen, I think people underestimate how valuable having an enslaved body was. I think people underestimate that. We were worth a lot of money, and us escaping was a problem. But here's the thing: hair mapping was a part of a larger stenography tradition. What braids represent is something scholars now call stenography, hiding stenography. That's it. Hiding messages in plain sight. Enslaved Africans and Black folks use this everywhere. They use it in quilts. They use it in songs with double meaning. Wade in the water. They use it in cooking methods that preserve nutrients for escape. Hair was just the most immediate medium, right? You couldn't confiscate it without violating the body. Black culture has always been layered. If it looks simple, you're missing the message. Cornrows came from West African traditions. Parts of West Africa, especially among the Mandi and Fulani, hair patterns already held clan identity, geographic origin, and social rank. So when enslaved Africans braided maps, they weren't improvising. They were just updating an old technology for new terror. This is not slave ingenuity. This is African science surviving captivity. Hair was also used to smuggle seeds. And this one blows people's mind. Women hid rice, millet, and okra seeds inside their braids before escape attempts. That means that braids weren't just maps out, they were food and security plans after freedom. Black survival has always been about long-term thinking, not just escape, but sustainability. That's why hair policing is so aggressive today. If hair was meaningless, no one would still be afraid of it. School bans, workplace rules, military regulations, professionalism codes are all targeting the same thing: autonomous Black identity carried on the body. They're not regulating hair, they're trying to regulate our memory. And braids still function as a cultural GPS. Even now, braids signal community, resistance, belonging, non-assimilation. That feeling you mentioned, that chest lift when you see them, that's recognition across time. The body remembers history. The body remembers what history tried to erase. Culture is memory that learned how to walk. John, what's your thoughts on it, man?
Like, it is a really dynamic thing that's about our people, about our culture, and like I said, in this era of fascism, I would rather they think we dumb, because we are the ones who can resist better than anybody. Our people have lived fascism since the beginning. We've been resisting fascism since the beginning of this country. And we did it in ways like this. and it's absolutely amazing, and it is, a history you can't take away from us because it's in us. We are still resisting fascism in the most creative, innovative, brilliant ways because that is who our people are.
Yo, you just brought up something so potent. Is it fair to say that America has always been fascist towards black people?
Always. It never wasn't.
Okay, so fascism in America really only exists if you are being targeted from the government if you're white. Because what I don't like is I don't like the gaslight from a lot of people, right? Like this is bipartisan here, right? It just Republicans have mastered it. I don't like the bipartisan gaslight that they act as if, whoa, we gotta be okay, we gotta be cool about reforming the police departments. Man, the police department's been the whole ice to the black community for the past since inception, right? Like ice to us is another day. It's just another
everyday
day.
Policing in America.
Yeah, it's like that's the difference. I don't think white folks understand. ICE to us is just another day in America. Like, it's just now y'all gotta welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. You're not rocking with Marcus and John. This is Marcus Farrell Live. We are airing on the Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. We are airing on my Facebook channel, and we are airing on Marcus Farrell Live. If you like what we're doing, like what we're rocking with, please consider subscribing, liking below. Leave a comment in the comment section if you're one of the people that are watching right now. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are dope. Thank you for joining us on this first day of the Blackity Blackest Blackistan Blacky Black Blackity Black Day, February 1st, Black History Month. You damn right I'm going to celebrate it. You might as well go ahead and get ready for it. Today we're going through videos. Today we're going through a couple of videos about Black history. I make them all the time. We're going to analyze them. We're breaking them down. We hope you enjoy it because hey, it is what it is. Now this one right here is important to John and myself. And John, I know you're going to have a lot to say about the topic. Let's rock and roll.
While the GI Bill worked for white veterans and failed black ones, they tell you the GI Bill built American middle class. That's true. They just leave out who got included. On paper, black and white veterans qualified equally. In reality, racism ran the application desk. The federal government handed control to local banks, colleges, and housing authorities, and those institutions said no to black veterans all the time. White veterans got home loans. Black veterans got excuses. White veterans went to college. Black veterans got rejected or pushed into underfunded schools. Same war, same uniform, two completely different Americas. And when black veterans protested, racism called them ungrateful. Now imagine risking your life for a country that blocks your future with a smile. But here's the part they don't highlight. Despite being locked out, black families still built strong communities, educated children, and fought for access that should have been automatic. The racial wealth gap didn't appear by accident. It was engineered. As a black veteran, I want to give a shout out to all the other veterans, black or white or any color in America. Follow Marcus Farrell Live if you want the truth behind America's success stories.
What you think?
I think it was 100% accurate. I mean, that's just the truth. And that's another reason why we need reparations, because there were so many black folks who served in World War II who did not get those benefits. And the baby boomers born from that, the ones who, a lot of them grew up better off because they were the kids of those World War II vets who were able to build wealth off of the home loan that they got and from the free college that they got. And so I think that that set some generations back. Black boomers would have grown up in better situations largely if their parents coming back from the war were getting their benefits approved.
Yeah, I don't. What you just made a point is so important. I don't think people really understand how when we got back from World War II, that's when Black economics really changed. Yes, you had Tulsa. Yes, you had Rosewood. Yes, you had the city that's underneath Lake Lanier, right? You had economic basis for Black folks. But here's where they did it to us. They did it to the Black community twice. And this is the American government. That's why reparations is important, but people don't want to admit that. That's why you got to get rid of history. In order for you to not have a conversation about reparations, you have to get rid of Black history. When you deny a whole generation of people rights that they earn so they can earn the same amount of money and create Black wealth by owning houses, and you go ahead and go out of your way and say, you know what, you guys don't get these houses. And not only that, first off, let's burn down your buildings. Let's burn your city down because you guys are making too much money. All right. And this was all across the nation now. Black businesses would burn just because they were successful, because they couldn't compete. People think it was an accidental fire. No, and none of these people got insured. None of these people got money back when a mob came because the mob was angry that the Black folks were making all the money. Y'all think it was a mob? Y'all think it was the only ones that were doing things like this was mafia movies? No, Black successful businesses had this happen to them all the time. Absolutely all the time. So first, let's go through this real quick. First, number one, right? You deny us our GI Bill. You burn down our buildings. You assassinate our leaders. You put crack in the neighborhoods and admit it. The CIA let it go. You do a crime bill that puts one out of every 4 Black men in jail. And then you turn right around and you want to look at and ask the question, well, why doesn't the Black community do well? Shut up. Just shut up. It's not even a conversation that should be had on a consistent basis. To everybody in the chat room, thanks for holding it down. Thanks for sticking with us. You're now rocking with Marcus Farrell. This is Marcus Farrell live. I'm rocking with my boy John Jackson. We are going through Black history today, man. It's Black history. It's Black History Month. Black History Month is every month for me, but for a lot of y'all, I want you to take some time out. And here's the thing. When you know Black history and you share it out, it pisses off the Trump administration. I watch and like a few things. Here's what I watch. I watch videos. I watch the Midas Touch Network. I watch Ben Dixon's channel. I watch Tim Black's channel. I watch Sabby Sab's channel. I watch all the Black history channels. I watch all the news, whether white or Black. I watch it all. I consume it. And I make up my own mind. I don't let it control my mind, right? But when it comes down to Black history, I'm going to keep pushing these stories like the griot that I'm supposed to be, because this administration, not only do they want to get rid of us talking about it, hell, they want to even change our museum. Trump wants to take down the slavery pictures in the Black History Museum. I want y'all to let that sink in. That part of our history doesn't matter. He wants to be the curator in chief. He's already the narcissist in chief. He's already the pedo in chief. Now he wants to be the curator in chief of what Black folks and what their history that we can learn from or not. So it is what it is. I want to just drop this real quick.
Let us begin with a possibility. A
moment where the bullets in the Audubon Ballroom never struck their target, where history bent not toward silence, but toward continuity. Imagine Malcolm X alive beyond February of 1965. Imagine him not as a martyr embalmed in speeches and grainy photographs, but as a living man, aging, adapting, sharpening. This is the thought experiment. What if Malcolm X lived into the 1990s? Malcolm in the late 60s would not have been the same man who sparred with Mike Wallace or preached in the Mosque No. 7 pulpit. He was already evolving in those final months, leaving the Nation of Islam, embracing Sunni Islam, broadening his worldview beyond the narrow confines of American racial struggle and toward a global fight against colonialism and capitalism. Surviving the mid-1960s, Malcolm would have stepped directly into the chaos of America's unraveling, the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, the uprisings in Watts, Detroit, Newark, Chicago. He would have seen the Vietnam War escalate and end in humiliation. And unlike many civil rights leaders of the era, Malcolm would have spoken fluently in the language of empire, exposing Vietnam not as an aberration, but as a natural extension of America's hunger for domination. By the 1970s, Malcolm X would have been in his mid-40s. Picture him walking into the era of Nixon and Watergate, an America both arrogant and insecure. This is when the Black Panther Party rose and was crushed, when COINTELPRO worked overtime to suffocate radical imagination. And here is the critical point. Malcolm's survival would have altered this landscape. He was already respected internationally, already recognized in Africa and the Middle East as a legitimate statesman of the oppressed. A living Malcolm could have lent his stature to protect younger leaders. Fred Hampton in Chicago, Angela Davis on trial, Huey Newton in exile. Instead of being fragmented, Black radical politics might have had a figurehead strong enough to keep the FBI on its heels. Imagine Nixon watching not just Stokely Carmichael, but Malcolm X testifying before the world about American hypocrisy. Then come the 1980s. Reagan ascends with his sunny smile and his lethal policies, trickle-down economics, union busting, the war on drugs. The ghettos flood with crack cocaine while Wall Street drowns in champagne. Malcolm would have been in his mid-50s, his voice seasoned, his patience slim. One can almost hear him exposing the narcotics crisis, not simply as pathology within Black communities, but as a form of chemical warfare, state-enabled, profit-driven. He would have called out mass incarceration before Michelle Alexander gave it a name. And unlike Jesse Jackson, whose presidential runs were groundbreaking, but limited by the need to appeal to white liberal guilt, Malcolm would not have softened his language. He would have named Reagan for what he was, the smiling face of a ruthless empire, a Hollywood actor who sold austerity as optimism. Globally, this was also the age of liberation struggles. South Africa fought against apartheid, Palestinians fought against occupation, Central America resisted U.S. intervention. Malcolm X alive in the 1980s would have been a constant traveler, moving between Soweto, Gaza, Managua, and Harlem. He would have shaken hands with Nelson Mandela after his release in 1990, not as a photo opportunity, but as a comrade in a shared struggle. He would have been in Havana, standing beside Fidel Castro, speaking of dignity in the face of imperial pressure. His internationalism would have forced America's Black politics to remain global, not merely electoral. Now we arrive at the 1990s. Malcolm in his late 60s, an elder statesman, not a relic, but a razor. This is when Clinton comes on the scene, promising a third way that triangulated between civil rights progress and conservative backlash. Clinton's charm concealed policies that accelerated mass incarceration, that gutted welfare, that militarized police. Imagine Malcolm X on C-SPAN, dismantling Clinton's rhetoric in real time. Imagine him addressing the Congressional Black Caucus, refusing to be seduced by the trappings of access. Where many in the 1990s celebrated the rise of Black mayors, Black police chiefs, and eventually a Black president, Malcolm would have warned, representation without transformation is illusion. And there is another layer, culture. The 1990s are the golden age of hip-hop. Public Enemy, Tupac, Nas, Lauryn Hill. Much of this music already drew upon Malcolm's speeches. But with Malcolm alive, imagine the collaboration. He would have appeared on albums not as sample fragments, but as a living mentor. The youth of the 90s, watching police brutality, watching economic abandonment, would have seen Malcolm not as a textbook chapter, but as a flesh and blood elder demanding they sharpen their critique. His presence might have pulled hip hop even further toward political clarity, away from pure commodification. So, what is the consequence of this imagination? If Malcolm X lived into the 1990s, America would have been forced to face itself more honestly. The bipartisan consensus on neoliberal economics and mass incarceration would have faced an unrelenting critic who could not be bought, who could not be silenced with honorary degrees or foundation grants.
I'm gonna stop it there. Yeah, that one keeps going. By the way, folks, if you want to watch these videos, they are all on my channel. They are all on my channel, and listen, it is what it is. Malcolm would have survived. We would have had a different country right now. Well, what are your thoughts, man?
I think that it's 100% right. Everyone who would have transformed the country either got killed or pushed away from politics, like Julian Bond. And so I think that you think about all the, and I say this in the nicest way possible, this is going to upset some people, but most of the civil rights leaders who lived on to be prominent in old age, they became mainstream. They weren't talking about transformation. They were kumbaya people. Your Andrew Youngs and John Lewis's of the world, who I respect greatly for what they did. But they became moderates, essentially. And that is how they survived so long, because nobody was threatened by a black moderate. No one's threatened by Jim Clyburn, who claims he was a civil rights leader, but Clyburn is a largely moderate guy. Nobody is threatened by black moderates, and the people who are just being racist. That's it. Like, you have to be, because black moderates aren't a threat to the system.
That's right. And I mean, let's keep it real, right? Like, imagine if the Black Caucus said, we're not voting for anything until we talk about reparations.
They don't do that.
No, they don't. They don't, because, and I mean, and here's the funny part about it. The Epstein files that just came out is very telling about where American political priorities are. Israel runs America. That's it, right? So you would think to yourself, how come so many black elected officials have AIPAC money? How come they haven't? And here's the thing: this is not being anti-Semitic. This is being realistic about where policies are focused on when it comes down to the American public and the black community. And it leads me to question what the priorities are. I'm working on something right now, and I just want to say this one time: the Democratic Party doesn't need to be safe when they get power. Now, anybody but Trump. I get that, right? We gotta resume with normality of a working, functioning government. That does not mean that we get a Democrat in there that goes right back to corporate-driven, status quo, Wall Street first. I hate anything that sounds universal, right? See,
we saw what happens with that. It'll take you right back to fascism. Like, Joe Biden did not keep fascism away from us.
No, he didn't. And if you look at successful countries that survived fascists, they had their most successful years directly after fascism, right? And think about Germany, think about Italy, think about all these countries, right? Italy started making Ferraris. You know what I mean? Like, Germany became an economic powerhouse even after losing the war, because they were an economic powerhouse during the Hitler times, right? During the Nazi Germany times. So the reason why I say that, right, is I say this right here: if the Democrats put up another moderate, corporate driven, we're gonna see fascism again. It's time for our tax dollars to work for us, not for corporations. Obama bailed Wall Street out. when Obama should have bailed out the American people, right? I don't remember a time in the past, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, where we've seen increases on tax for the billionaires. We have not fundamentally seen that. You can say what you want to. You can try to point out, oh, well, Obama did this and Biden did that. No, they didn't. They didn't. Billionaires still got paid a lot of money. And to be honest with you, the wealth gap is so ridiculous that a CEO makes 300 times the money that employee is worth. You need in America $27 an hour on average to live in a city. 27. That's for you to work one job and pay all your bills, right? You think the system is not messed up? If you make $15 an hour or $20 an hour and you work full time, you still can't pay all your bills. So then what might you do? You might go trap. And if you go trap, then guess what? You might go to jail. And if you go to jail, then guess what? The prison system and the CEOs of these private prison industries make more money. It's that simple. It is that simple. I think Malcolm X, if he had lived, he probably would have said more about it. That's my 2 cents. I'm gonna do one more video and then we're gonna get out of here. I will be going live all day today though, doing this. Like I have so many videos and this is the first day of Black History Month, so I'm going to keep it coming. I don't care what administration does. And this news, this information, this history is important because it needs to shape your mind on why policies are the way that they are today. If you don't know your past, you can't know your future. Don't just say Trump is bad. Identify why he's bad. Identify why he is getting away with some of the worst things in the world. Because America normalized this by practicing on Black people. Everything that white folks are doing right now became normalized because they were the hurt and the pain that they feel, the $7 egg prices, the oh my God, they're killing white people in the streets. Bro, we've been doing that. But you don't know that because it was ignored and it wasn't taught in schools. I'm gonna end it because I think we need to talk about it is Black History Month, even if the Black history is on the wrong side of the house. Let's do it.
All right. So tonight we got to talk about something that gets under my skin. We got to talk about a certain type of BLK conservative. You know the ones who get on camera looking all stiff in a suit they just bought, just dying to drop that one tired, dusty line. Y'all need to get off the Democratic plantation. The plantation? You want to talk about plantations? All right, bet. Let's talk about it. Because when I see y'all, I can't help but think about the movie Django Unchained. And I'm not talking about Django. I'm talking about Steven. Y'all remember Steven, right? Head house man. He wasn't just on the plantation. He was an administrator. He was running Candyland for Candy. He was the one snitching, the one betraying, the one doing the absolute most to protect a system that was crushing his own people. All for what? A little bit of house privilege, a pat on the head, and now I turn on the TV and I see y'all doing the same song and dance. You're out here defending policies that are gutting our neighborhoods. You're out here making excuses for folks who wouldn't even let you in their country club. You're defending a dude who called BLK nations shithole countries and told congresswomen to go back, make it make sense. You're out here capping for a party that's actively trying to make it harder for us to vote. You're cheerleading for them while they attack equity programs. You're telling us we're on a plantation while you are literally doing the tap dance for the master's approval. And let's be real, your tap shoes are rusty and your routine is weak. Make it make sense. They'll have you on TV as the one BLK friend to co-sign all their nonsense. And y'all just sit there grinning like you won a prize when all you are is the prize pig. You're there, look, I'm not racist, I have one. Guy. You're out here selling us out for what exactly? A check? A little bit of clout? A seat at the table where they just put you in the corner and tell you to be quiet? I'm looking at you, Byron Donalds. Steven, at least, got to run the whole house. Y'all are just renting a room in your own mind, and the landlord is charging your dignity. Meanwhile, back in reality, let's talk facts. Are Democrats perfect? Hell no. We got to hold their feet to the fire every single day. But they ain't the ones wanting to put tanks on MLK, and they ain't the ones that got ICE out here snatching up your light-skinned uncle. But let's look at the board. Who's trying to protect voting rights? Who's trying to push for criminal justice reform? Who's trying to fund our schools and our health care? When it comes down to freedom and equity, one side is at least pretending to drive in that direction. The side you're on is actively trying to throw the car in reverse and run us over. So when y'all come at me with that Democratic plantation line, just know I see you. We all see you. We see Stephen. And we just got to ask, how does it feel to be the star security guard on a plantation that you keep mistaken for a country club? Make it make sense. This is your boy, Marcus Farrell, live. Follow.
Hit that like button before we even start, because I'm about to say what everybody else whispers when y'all log off. Dear conservatives, we no longer care about your racism. We know you're ignorant. We know you think the N-word still hits like it did in the 1950s. We know you think every BLK person lives in the ghetto. We know you think you're the chosen ones of common sense when you can't even spell common. It's 2025, heading into 2026, and we've evolved past your tantrums. You're just the group project partner nobody invites anymore. See, you built your whole brand on trying to hurt us, and now the system you built is turning on you. You cheered when they froze food programs because you thought it only fed them. Now your pantry's empty too. You shouted cut government waste, and the waste ended up being your local hospital. You yelled freedom while your rent doubled. That's not freedom, that's foreclosure. Let's talk education. You banned books to protect the children. Well, mission accomplished. They can't read the bans either. You gutted schools because you didn't want your kids learning those people's history. Now they think Martin Luther King fought in the Civil War. Good job, patriots. And please stop thinking the N-word is some type of debate finisher. It's not. It's a verbal participation trophy for losing the argument. Every time you say it, the internet looks at you the same way we look at someone microwaving fish in the office break room. Disgusted, but not surprised. You know what's worse though? The way y'all act online. Every time somebody checks you on race, you rage quit like you can't beat a 7-year-old on Fortnite. You get cooked in the comments, then start talking about gas prices. You lose a debate about history, then suddenly it's about cancel culture. You keep moving the goalpost so much, it qualifies for frequent flyer miles. Every time you do it, your whole movement looks more and more like the world's longest temper tantrum with a Wi-Fi connection. And those sellouts you keep parading around, the ones that look like us but say what you wish you could, we don't care about them either. They don't have pull in our communities. They're not prophets, they're puppets. You can keep them on retainer for your next think tank brunch, but they lost the neighborhood years ago. So rant in your chat rooms, post on your timelines, and keep pretending you're owning the libs while your credit score and grocery bill are tied for lowest number of the month. Racism can't fill your fridge, can't pay your rent, and definitely can't win a debate. You built your identity around hating people who outwork, outvote, and outthink you, and now you're watching your own country fall apart from the inside. The N-word doesn't work anymore. Welfare queen doesn't work anymore. The jokes are recycled, the hate's outdated, and the results are in. Y'all lost the culture war because hate aged like mayonnaise in the sun. This is Marcus Farrell Live, where the truth is funny, the comedy is brutal, and the facts hurt worse than your credit score.
So that was one of my last two. We got one more video, John, and then we've hit the hour mark. But before we get into it, because I'm gonna end it after the video, please, John Jackson, you want to leave your information, how people can find you if they want to find you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm JJ Biscayne on Instagram, JJ on the Fourth Line on X, and JJ Biscayne on TikTok.
Absolutely. And also, you are now rocking with Marcus Farrell. This is Marcus Farrell Live. Today is Black History Month, the first day of Black History Month. If you've liked anything that you heard, please feel free to leave a super chat or follow me on Marcus Farrell Live on Instagram, TikTok, Marcus for America on Twitter, Facebook, across the board. And I want to make sure that you know that you know, share this out. We are all the way live, and we want to make sure that our history gets talked about. I'm doing this all day today. I'm gonna take a break, eat me some breakfast, go work out. John, I can run 2 miles again.
Nice.
Hey, yeah, I can. I literally been out there running, man. I feel great, and
That's awesome.
I might take a vacation sometime soon. I'll tell you about it offline. A lot of good stuff. With that being said, we're gonna end this thing because, you know, me and John are both veterans, And I want to talk about the baddest, possibly the baddest, because there was a lot of bad boys in the military, but some of the baddest black men that ever put on a uniform. We'll end it like this. You've been watching Marcus Farrell live. Peace.
You ever hear a name so cold it makes your spine sit up straight? Harlem, Hell, Fighters. Say it again. Say it with your chest. The Harlem Hellfighters, 369th Infantry Regiment. But that number don't do them justice. They weren't just a unit. They were the smoke. They were black firepower with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Let me make it plain. America wanted black folks to serve, but not to shine. Wanted us to fight, but not to lead. They wanted to use our bodies, but bury our legacies. And the Harlem Hellfighters said, bet. These were working class black men from Harlem. Jazz players, dock workers, shoe shiners, hustlers, boxers, preachers, porters, everyday legends, forged in racism, baptized in Harlem hustle. They signed up knowing damn well America didn't love them, but they still loved us enough to try and protect it. That's that generational loyalty under pressure. That's black patriotism with scars. And what did the U.S. Army do? They told them to clean latrines, dig trenches, carry the ammo for white soldiers. White folks get rifles, black folks get shovels. The disrespect was so loud, even France was like, y'all really not letting these men fight? France said, come on, brothers, let's go raise hell. And the Hellfighters did just that. Now let me break it down. These boys hit the Western Front like a hurricane wearing dog tags. 191 days straight in fire. No rotations, no relief. They saw more combat than any other American unit in the whole damn war. The enemy feared them, not just because they were lethal, but because they were black unbroken and wouldn't go away. You ever seen 100 white German soldiers fall back because a squad of black Americans with French rifles came over the ridge looking like retribution in a uniform? That's Harlem Hellfighter energy. Let me give y'all the boogeyman of the battlefield. Private Henry Johnson, also known as Black Death. This man was on night guard with his boy Needham Roberts. Middle of the forest, ambushed by a full German raiding party. 24 Germans. Johnson's rifle jams. He don't run. He don't call for backup. He whips out a damn bolo knife and starts slicing through bodies like he's in a Tarantino film. One man versus an army. And he won. He didn't survive the fight. He ended it. And when they tried to drag Roberts away, Johnson grabbed him back like, "You not taking my brother." Period. And for that, France gave him the Croix de Guerre with Palm, their highest honor. And what did the U.S. give him? Nothing. No Medal of Honor, no retirement, not even a pair of crutches. They left him wounded, broke, and jobless. This country will use your strength and then act like it never met you. But history got a long-ass memory, and we ain't letting that slide today. You want jazz? The Hellfighters invented war music. James Reese Europe, their band leader, brought Harlem sound to the trenches. They turned French villages into rhythm riots, played syncopated salvation between battles, brought blackness to a continent that had never heard that kind of soul before. They didn't just fight the Germans. They converted Europe. They were marching one day, blowing brass the next, and fighting for their lives the day after. Soldiers by day, musicians by night, legends all the damn time. So why the hell don't they teach this in schools? Why they got you thinking World War I was a white-only party? Because America can stomach black bodies in war, but not black excellence in textbooks. They buried these men twice, once in the ground and once in the curriculum. But guess what? We digging them back up.
Yo, I mean, I'm gonna let you talk. That actually was. I want to end on that. What you think about that, man? Harlem Hellfighters, huh? Serious.
It's amazing. We got to keep telling these stories, especially when we got a racist imposter of a Secretary of Defense right now who's afraid of black military excellence. I think I love hearing stories like this. There's a beautiful American history of black folks serving since the Revolutionary War to now.
Yeah. You know, these stories make conservatives uncomfortable. And it's pure racism. If you like Trump right now, it's pure racism. If you don't want to hear our stories, it's just racism. It's racism and also a little bit of narcissism. But I will say that I think narcissism, racist, I think most racists are narcissists, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And I know people throw around that word a lot, but there's one thing about narcissism that people don't understand, and that's lack of accountability, right? And that's a very big part of racism. is I don't want to be accountable for what happened before. I don't want to be accountable for how I benefited from this. I didn't have slaves back in the day. I didn't X, Y, and Z. It is what it is. You're now. Thank you for watching Marcus Farrell Live. I appreciate John Jackson for joining us. He is the man, one of my best friends on the planet, and also just a very smart human being across the board and a very good brother. So y'all give him a thank you. I'll be back on later on today. I am not done with this right here. I wanted to rock and roll, start your month off the right way. This has been Marcus Farrell Live. Peace.
Thank you.